This is National Park Week, and we're sharing some photographs Clyde has taken in the national parks with you this week. And so what are we going to talk about first?
I think Acadia in Maine,
Good.
where there's lobster. I decided that, there's not many parks on the East Coast. And I thought I wanted to do Acadia because I've never been to Maine. And it's a beautiful national park, and it's very small, but it's very unique. So for some reason, I thought, because it's the detail of all the rocks and everything, I wanted to take my 11x14. Now, when you take this camera, the camera weighs, with a lens and tripod, is about 65 pounds. Then the bag of film holders is about another 25, 30. So you got a lot of weight. So the first thing I did was I explored the park. I didn't want to carry all this stuff until I found some nice spots. Normally I use a smaller camera, I can explore with the camera. This time, no. So there's actually a trail going around the rims. And I found this really neat spot. It's kind of like, it wasn't really part of the path. I got off the path and there was this rock. You stand on this rock, you can look right over the beach, straight down.
That was scary.
It was very scary because I wanted to get the lens I used was the 150 millimeter Snyder XL. It's 110 degrees.
Wow.
See, so that you can actually see like straight down.
Yeah.
And that gives you the feeling there, because you might not want to feel like you're there. But this pinnacle was so great, part of the composition. It's nice to have a foreground, but when sometimes you're looking over a cliff, you don't have a foreground. So this created a foreground. And later on, I heard from some friends of ours that part of that pinnacle had fallen off since then. So I spent another day looking around, and then I heard fog was happening the next day. So I wanted to go back and do the fog. So it was really a beautiful morning. But again, pretty spooky, looking straight down. This was actually a little longer exposure because of the fog. You have to have more exposure. It was on 4 seconds. So, but that was okay. It was 4 seconds for me. It's pretty quick.
So now, did you use a filter on either one of those?
Well, on the first one, I used an orange filter to get more detail in the rocks, and the second one, I didn't need a filter because when you use that fog, there's not much color,
That's true.
so I wouldn't need a filter.
So what? Just for people who don't do black and white, and you want to know why an orange filter, why is?
Well, like for instance, if you have a blue sky, the orange filter will make it really go dark.
Okay.
So whatever is bluish will make it go dark.
And so, if you have a red filter, what happens?
Well, it adds more, but also the greens go dark.
Right.
So the streets in the background would have been really dark.
Yeah, the black. Yeah.
So
the orange is sort of a compromise between them.
Yeah, and, I found another spot that I had been shooting, and the fog after I finished it lifted, but it's supposed to be fog the next day. So I went to this other spot. This other spot was a little scary because I had to go kind of down. It was like only about 15 feet. I had to go down, and then
You had to carry the camera down this slope?
yes, and then at the end of the slope was
Straight down?
150-foot cliff. And I had to slide down because you couldn't walk down.
I have to tell you, I was not with him during this trip.
She would have
So
not let me done that.
No, I would never have let him do either one of these photographs.
Well, the
Wait,
first one
okay.
you could hold my belt.
Like I could hold you from
Well,
falling. Yeah, right.
But,
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So the friend of mine that got me to go up here too owned this little Otter Creek Inn. And he let me stay there. We stayed there for about a week. I stayed there for about a week. And
Well, it was named after Otter Creek.
yeah, we were talking, and he said, "Well, you know, got a pretty neat creek since this. Got to photograph the creek since the hotel was named after the creek. Makes sense." But again, with all this gear getting down the creek, it was fun. It was.
See, normally I'm with him and I carry part of it.
Yeah.
But he was doing this without
Yeah,
anybody.
it was stupid.
No, it wasn't. The
Well,
pictures came out great. The detail in them is wonderful because of the large film, but it's a lot to handle. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it was a fun experience, and then later on the next day, I went down to Hunter's Beach.
Okay.
Hunter's Beach
Get the camera.
is very similar to the other one,
Uh-huh.
except it was a different path down, and these rocks were really big and slippery.
Mhm.
Now, trying to carry this thing over all these rocks, because again, I was using a wide angle lens,
Right.
so I was going to shoot the rocks right here.
Right.
So it wasn't like I could find a piece of sand and shoot. I had to be in the rocks.
Right.
So keeping from falling was pretty. Because there's a wooden.
Sketchy.
If I had fallen, the wooden camera would have broken
Oh,
up.
and every.
It would have been
Yeah.
disappeared.
Right.
But got a nice shot.
Yep, you did.
Actually, I got a couple of nice shots.
Yes. Yeah.
Then the next day, I thought this was our Acadia National Park. I said, "Oh, this is a different part." What do you mean a different part? Well, on the other side of the bay, the park extends
Right. It's like two peninsulas, and in between is a little town
with a bay.
with a bay in between the two pieces of park.
Yeah.
And,
You can see the other park from the other park.
Right.
But this was a little different because the rocks were a little slower. There weren't as many cliffs, so the surf was coming in. And I've always liked shooting the surfs, but being from the West Coast, photographing at Weston's Beach and Carmel, Big Sur, it was kind of familiar with, and I wanted to do something like that. So I got a couple of nice shots there. Then, after doing all this, a couple of people that were helping me were part of the art league there, the art museum. And they asked me to come back next year and do an exhibit.
Now, when did we do this?
This was in 2006.
2006. Both of these trips were 2006.
Yep.
Okay.
The fall, September, and then the spring.
We went in the spring.
So this time I took Niki with me. It was more fun too.
Thank you.
Oh.
Sweet.
But also the first trip was done with my Volkswagen Bug because I wanted to do it as least expensive as I could. The next trip we took the van.
Right. Little roomier.
A lot roomier. So I was able to take both the 8x10 and the 5x7.
This is a 5x7.
Well, it's 8x10's not. Well, I mean, look off the 8x10. There's the 8x10. Yeah, that's okay. So, actually, this particular 8x10 is almost the same weight as that 5x7. It's a pretty neat camera.
So what lenses did you change lenses with the?
Well, you see, everything I do is with the same angle of view.
Okay.
So I matched the focal length with the format.
Okay.
And this was actually 72 millimeter. And actually, I think it was 120 millimeter.
Okay.
But I use f/45 all the time anyhow.
Okay.
And the orange filters. Also, I use T-Max 100 film. So I forgot to tell you about the film. That helps to have film.
Yes.
So I had to take Niki down to call it Pebble Beach or
No, it's Hunters.
I don't know.
Hunters.
They
Little
said-
Hunters Beach.
They had big pebbles. big
Rocks.
pebbles.
Rocks.
They're big pebbles. So we got to explore that together, the 8x10.
Yeah. Done a beautiful beach. Lots of texture. Wonderful.
Yeah. But after we went to we had hung the art show, and we were talking.
In the art show, you had put the images you had
Right.
taken in the fall
Right.
in that show, along with other images from across the United States.
Right, because they were getting prepared for the 100th anniversary of the national park, and Acadia was one of the first parks,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a pretty important park. Roosevelt helped
Established.
establish that park.
Okay.
So we were talking, communicating. And I said, there's another path down to the beach that you haven't been in, and it's got lots of ferns and it's more intimate. So Nikki and I took the 5x7 this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna walk across pebbles.
Let's make it a little easier.
Yeah, easier to carry this
Now,
across those rocks.
And one thing people don't understand is, if you're familiar with Ansel Adams' work, most of his important photographs were taken from his car. So my important photographs were taken basically from my car. So every time I get out of the car, I look for a shot by the car. And sure enough, there was a shot right by the car. And it was really a neat little shot. And then we worked our way down and shot all kinds of little shots of the path down to the beach. It was a great day. It was a great day.
And we were, you and I were only there for maybe a total of 4 days. One day to hang the exhibit, one day to say howdy to everybody about the opening, and then 2 days to photograph. So it was a short trip for me, but it was a beautiful, beautiful place. Really enjoyed it.
Would have liked to have had more time.
Yes, yes. And we went at a time when school was, well, he went in the fall when school.
Actually, I went to the last week, the last day, normally all the business closed.
That's right.
That's when I went.
Oh, so
the business were all closed.
right.
So there wasn't very many people there because they couldn't go out to restaurants like we can now. And then when in the spring, it was before the school
Let out.
let out.
Right.
So both times, people weren't a problem on the beach. And for me, I don't like people on the beach.
Well,
I don't like.
he doesn't do people.
I don't
so
do people. No.
He likes to see nature in its
Primitive state.
innocence.
Yes. So that's the times I like to file a photograph when there's no people, because I don't like people in my photographs.
Right. And remember, enjoy your national parks because they belong to you. So take care of them.
And we've got lots of them. It's our most important thing in America is our parks.